first we're going to talk about uh, mobile barcodes. So what's a mobile barcode? In the beginning, everyone's familiar with the traditional barcodes that you see on retail labels. They're pretty much just simple vertical lines that are interpreted by these big clunky handheld scanners, and usually see them on labels and packages, and they have numbers at the bottom. But that was the old way. These type of barcodes are considered one-dimensional. They're only really capable of storing numbers, but as of the 80s, the demand for barcodes grew so much that, the capability for storing letters was introduced as well. So you have these weird, obscure lines and bars. And then people started making art out of them. But there's a need for more and more data. As the internet gets more complex, as information gets more complex, there's been an inherent need for, being able to store more than just letters and digits. So that's where we come to the next generation of barcodes known as 2D or matrix codes, which came on the scene in about the 90s. So what is this next generation of barcode? This next generation of barcode is pretty much a complete revision of the barcodes as we know it. It is comprised of black squares and white spaces, and it's capable of storing websites, images, contact cards, maps, telephones. You can even do some social media integration, like automatically send a tweet or, a text message. So there's different kinds of codes, but, of the most popular and free to use are the QR codes. So usually when people are referring to mobile barcodes, they're generally talking about the QR codes. This is an example of what a QR code looks like. It's kind of got these weird squares at the top, one at the bottom, and a bunch of boxes and white spaces. The reason why it became the most popular and the one you see most commonly is because it's free and it's in the public domain. Some of the other codes, 2D codes, are proprietary, so you have to have a special software or reader to actually use or read the information. But QR codes are widely available, and as you can see, a lot of mobile devices have them already built in, or you can just download an app to interpret them. And then we have people they're popping up everywhere, T-shirts, billboard ads, even in the sand at the beach. I thought that was kind of interesting. So the question is, okay, this is great technology, but why do I want to use this in my course space? What is the benefit to using QR codes? Well, I just wanted to start off by mentioning that QR codes generate interest, and they actually get the students engaged with the content and allow them to interact with the content in a way that is most native to them. It's widely available on many mobile devices, from iPhones to Android phones to iPads, other smartphones, and there's even readers for your desktop. And it's instant. Basically, a QR code is an image, like the box you saw, and it pretty much contains the information for any URL, podcast, music, video, whatever it is you need. So, now we're going to talk about QR codes a little bit more and how to use them in your course spaces. So I came up with 10 ways. Now, there's plenty more ways to use barcodes in your course spaces, but here's a quick idea list of how you can incorporate them. So first, before you even start using them in your course, you need to actually create the barcodes. So I would suggest start with something simple and then move to the more complex. You want to start by grabbing a URL. So that could be like a URL to just your department webpage, for instance. And then you want to go to a free QR code site generator. You paste that URL into that site, and it automatically generates the code. So here are some examples of code generators that are free out there on the web. You have Barcode Link, VTag, NeoReader. QR stuff is actually a pretty popular one, so is VTag, and then there's another one that's new on the scene called Just Near Me. Once you've generated the code, you can then embed that into your Blackboard space or any other web-based space, or you can print it. So if you're handing out syllabuses, you can add that image to your syllabus, and it'll show up, and you can print it, and people can scan it. The beautiful thing about QR codes is that they can appear anywhere. They can appear digitally or in the not-so-digital world of paper and books. If you're interested in how you would actually read them, you do have what is known as barcode readers. So some of them, they vary. Some of different platforms, different phones, different devices have different names. I mean, you can pretty much Google this or go to your app store and find a whole bunch of free ones. Here's just a short list, obviously a very, very short list. One is Neo Reader. That's pretty popular across different browsers and different phones. There's one called Barcode Scanner on the Android. iPhone has something that came with AT&T's package, and that's called the AT&T scanner. There's one called Kawa Reader, Mobile Tag, Upcode. I mean, the list is endless. Like I said, you can Google mobile barcode reader, or you can go to your app store to see, the available apps. So now let's look at using QR codes in your course. So now that you know how to create them, now that you know how to read them, let's look at how would you actually use them in your course. So a couple ideas to kind of get that creative train of thought going for those out there that are interested. You have one thing you can do is you can kind of put them on your business cards, or you can take the image and embed it into your Blackboard content as your staff contact information. This is actually pretty popular now. You're seeing people actually put them on the cards, or you can take it and just keep it on your Blackboard content. You can also use it to reference book information. A lot of books nowadays are coming out with a QR code already, so you can just actually, you don't have to create the code at that point. You would just locate the code online and just copy that image and paste it on your Blackboard site. Or you can even use it to reference materials. So if you have a book list, for instance, in your course, and you want students to actually be able to use certain reference materials, you can, instead of having to type out all the information about the ISBN and the author and the date it came out and what URL they can go to find it, you can just give it a short title and put the QR code right next to it. So let's see, a little out of order here. Another thing you can do is embed PowerPoints, set it in PowerPoints, blogs, or wikis. And, it kind of helps you keep your text short on your PowerPoint slides. I think some of us get into the habit of trying to put a whole paragraph onto a PowerPoint. This is a quick way to kind of reference information or to point to information that you're referring to without having to type all the text out. And similarly, on a blog or wiki site, you can do the same. So you can also even use it for multimedia references, such as videos, podcasts, images, and some things that are starting to show up now are different campaigns for ads and things like that. One thing I did want to mention, and this kind of helps me bring that up, is that your QR codes don't have to just be black and white. You can actually change the color, and it still works just as well. So you can actually, if you have a particular color scheme in your course space, in Blackboard, for instance, and you can change it to match that color scheme if you so desire. You can actually build an assignment catalog. Now, I know that seems like a lot of work, but think about having to type all this stuff out, or having to point to reference lists of where these books and materials are, and how much easier it would be if you just had an image that kind of represented all this information for you, or kind of pointed to that information for you. So one little creative way to think about it, and if you're so fortunate to have TAs or some kind of classroom help, then maybe that's something they can work on for you. One interesting way that I've seen it used is actually for surveys or pointing to Google Forms. So if you want to get some instant feedback on how things are going in the class, you can actually have a code that points to a Google form that you've created or a SurveyMonkey or whatever type of survey tool that you've used outside of our current LMS to collect that information. And while you're doing that, you can also start thinking of collaborative activities for students to get involved in. This can range from scavenger hunts to building like some kind of library or digital library of information. This was an ad that I saw online. It was a school was looking for students to participate in a QR code scavenger hunt to trying to get more chocolate in the library. I guess that's important to some students. But that's just for a library. But thinking about it from a course level. You can have students build out some kind of wiki with some catalogs of information, and maybe instead of them focusing on, trying to document every single reference, they can link their references to this QR code, and, the information is right there, and it's instant, and it's easily accessed. Okay, so we have another way is through text messages or email messages. Now, one thing that people may not realize is that QR codes don't have to be static. They don't have to be just a link to a URL. You can actually get them to do things. If you use the site QR stuff, there's a list of a bunch of different ways on how you can use a QR code, from automatically sending text messages, email messages, checking in on Facebook, sending tweets. You can even have it point to a map, all kinds of stuff. So, for instance, in this particular case, let's say you want to get a notification when students were done with an assignment. You can have them scan this QR code and it automatically sends you a notification, or to send these other notifications. Maybe that's something you want to do. Something creative to think about. Something else. The potential for QR codes could be to put them on lab equipment. And maybe you can combine this as a collaborative activity for students. You can have them come up with like little videos or how-to documentation on how to use the labs or how to perform the actual lab assignment. Or you can have them on classroom equipment or, other types of items that maybe, physical, might need some instructions. And instead of having the actual paper document, you just have this little image that can be easily scanned, and there you go. And last but not least, one of my favorites is the social media integration. You can, like I said, if you use certain sites like QR Stuff, and there's a couple other ones just near me, you can actually have your QR codes actually point to an instant like. So whenever someone scans this, it automatically likes something on Facebook, or it automatically sends a tweet, or it automatically, checks in their location. So there's a couple different unique ways on how you can really get QR codes to do more work for you, instead of having to type it all in yourself. So that's pretty much my presentation. I know it was short. I can kind of show you guys some of the sites I talked about, or demo how you would embed it in a course space. I'm going to open up the floor for questions now for you guys. Let me know what you want to see. No questions? All right, well, I'm going to just demo QR Stuff because I think it's neat. QRstuff.com. If you're going to create mobile barcodes, I would definitely recommend this site. QR Stuff is probably the most versatile of all the free QR reader generator sites. Like I was mentioning before, you can have it automatically create a text message You can even embed like a telephone number, email address. You can even have it so it points to an event. If you want people to kind of save event information in their phone automatically, you can have this QR code represent the date and time and the name of the event. You can even go as far as to put the latitude and longitude. Something that seems to be working better on Android phones than iPhones, you can actually have a QR code that references your Wi-Fi information. So instead of having to write it down on a piece of paper or having people remember, you can type in your SSID and the password to your Wi-Fi, your network, and when they scan it, they have it, and they can get right onto your internet connection. There's instances for social media, like I mentioned already. You know, you can have it do a status update for Twitter. You can do likes. You can even do Foursquare venue type stuff, so it actually checks you in where you are. There's even a PayPal Buy It Now link. I haven't actually seen this one work yet, but I'm sure that'd be interesting somewhere. There's one for iTunes and even YouTube. So, you can get pretty funky with this, like I said. I mean, you can print it out and actually hand it out, or you can actually just download the image, save it as an image, and actually upload the image to your course space on Blackboard. And people are getting even crazier with it. They're adding it everywhere. I mean, there's T-shirts and a whole bunch of other merchandise that people are starting to get into with these codes. But, as far as your course space is concerned, having it printed on a syllabus or some kind of handout or embedded in your Blackboard space or blog or wiki probably is the best use for this.